Give me a P, give me an R, give me an A, give me an X, give me an I, give me an S. What does that spell? Practice. Hey everyone, I'm the Saxophone Oracle. This week we're going to talk about practice. I've had this channel for about 8 months now. I can't believe I haven't done a practice video yet, but I thought this is the perfect time to do it because it's about 3 or 4 days away from the new year. It's the season, the time of year we start looking back on what we've done, our accomplishments, our failures, our disappointments, just taking stock, and we start planning for the future and making resolutions and just how we want to go about things. And so as musicians, that's practice, right? So we should be thinking about practice, how we're going to get better at practice, what our plan is for the new year to accomplish all the things we want to accomplish. So let's get into it. As with any topic I discuss on this channel, practice, it's huge. There's a million things that we can talk about, and I will certainly do other videos on practice. I'm a big believer in slow practice and the importance of that, so I'll probably do a video about that, maybe about how I practice. But today I just want to talk about, we're thinking about the new year, how to go about things, just a general overview of practice, some of the things we should be keeping in mind, to get the most benefit out of our time this year. So the first thing, it's obvious, I don't know why I have to say it, but it's super key. Number one most important thing, daily practice. Every day we have to practice. I would say 6 days a week is ideal. Have one day where we can rest, think about other things, just don't touch the instrument. But other than that, we should be practicing every day. That's the only way we can get good at things, and with music, I don't know, some people just don't want to believe it, or they think there's some kind of magic. There's a meme going around where it's, so-and-so says to the musician, "Oh, you play so well, how is that?" And the musician answers, "Well, it's practice." "Oh, I wish I had your talent. Oh, you're so talented, I wish I could do that." And the musician answers, "Well, it's practice." And because that's what it is. It's like anything in life, whether you're a plumber or an electrician or a surgeon, you have to do your trade on a daily basis to learn it, to build your foundation, and to get better at it and to grow. That's how it works. So you can't work on one thing one day and then expect to get any better if you come to revisit it another week and you're going nowhere fast. You're not building anything, right? It has to be done every day. And I'm not a scientist, but I'm sure there's neural pathways we're building here, right? Where we have to train our ear, and that's a daily thing, just like learning a language, right? We have to be hearing the music, and so our ear training, our intonation training. Then there's the muscle memory, whether it's technical, teaching ourselves how to breathe, how to support our air, our embouchures, just keeping those muscles in shape, ready to go. This requires daily practice. And I talked about you need a foundation, and then you're going to build on that. So we ingrain these things, we make them permanent. And permanent's a good word, actually. A friend of mine's father used to always say, "It's not practice makes perfect," because it's not. He would say, "Practice makes permanent." So there's we need to ingrain these things so they're second nature, and we have to ingrain them correctly. We have to make sure we're practicing accurately, correctly, so that we have a really solid foundation, and then things build, and we get exponentially better. It moves quite quickly if we do it daily and accurately. Okay, so doing it daily aside, the second thing we have to think about, or should be thinking about, is getting ourselves a solid routine. This is really important. There are so many topics and subjects we have to address in music, and our practice time is, it's valuable. We never have enough. And there are certain things that we absolutely have to address. So I would highly encourage everyone to develop a routine and stick to it. So any saxophone player, whether you're a classical musician, a jazz musician, whatever, there are certain things we have to absolutely address. One is sound, okay? So time is the number one important thing in becoming a good musician and setting yourself apart. But number two, close second, is sound. And we're not guitar players. We're not plugging into an amp and playing through pedals and everything. It's like we are our sound. We have to create our sound. So that has to be part of our daily practice. So that's things like overtone exercises. Long tones, everyone hates to do it. I don't know why, because it's the easiest and best way to get sounding better, but that, you know, that's what we have to do. Check out a whole video on long tones right there. So the sound aspect, that's got to be part of your routine, no matter what kind of player you are. Then there's the technical aspect. So that's things like scales, arpeggios, licks, or, you know, getting the tongue working with the fingers, that whole thing, the articulation, getting everything smooth. There's the technical aspect, so we have to do that, sound and technique. And then the rest of your routine, well, that's going to depend on what your priorities are, what you're trying to achieve. You know, if you're a jazz musician, then every day you should be transcribing. You're going to be working on certain chord structures, whether it's cycle of fourths or different kinds of 2/5 things, Coltrane changes, who knows what, but that's going to be a portion of it. A portion of your routine should be learning the standard repertoire, memorizing music. You know, there's all kinds of, if you're in a band, you have to be working on your band music every day. If there's classical etudes or things like that. So that's up to you how you want to divide it, but it should be consistent, right? So if you only have an hour a day, then maybe 15 minutes for sound, 15 minutes for technique, and then the rest, you know, you allot the time for it, but so that it's the same every single day. Right? And I would encourage you to do it on a clock. Have some sort of timer. So if it is an hour you have and 15 minutes for that, 15 minutes for that, don't spend 20 minutes doing sound. Spend the 15 minutes. It's really easy to get into an exercise and get carried away. But if you do that, then you're neglecting something else, and then you're not really doing the daily practice, right? Because you're neglecting certain things. So I would stick to it, time it, be really diligent about it, keep a journal. That's that, a routine, super important. The third thing to keep in mind is there are, again, so many aspects to music and so many things we have to work on, and there's so little time. Our practice is so precious. The practice time is precious. So we have to be efficient with our practice. We have to be focused with our practice. And we have to be mindful, okay? So I did a video this year about getting creative with our technique. I'd go check that out. In there, I talk about the expression to kill two birds with one stone, and how what we really want to be doing is killing a flock of birds with one stone, you know, so we get the most out of our precious practice time. So we shouldn't be doing any one exercise. We should be trying to tackle everything from every angle. And we want to be focused, and that's where the mindfulness comes in. Like we hear this term in psychology or therapists talk about it, where it's like, you know, feel your sensations, be aware of your surroundings, you know, label things, put a name on it, you know, just experience it, label it, notice it. And that's super important in our practice, because again, not one exercise should be addressing just one thing. It should be many things. So I talked about time being the number one thing other than sound. So unless you're playing with a recording or doing a run through for a concert, from the second we start practicing to the second we stop practicing, we should be using a metronome, and we should be actively using that metronome, interacting with it, using it to utmost advantage, so that we're working on our time with every single other thing we're working on. Mindful of our air support, right? Our breathing, mindful of our tone, mindful of our pitch, mindful of the evenness. So if we're doing a scale exercise, it's not just about running the scale. Is it even? Is it in tune? Am I supporting the air? Do I have a good sound, right? Am I playing it in time with the metronome? There are so many things that we should be doing. And then, you know, the slow practice thing, because we want it to be accurate, so we can build on that solid foundation. So it's really worthwhile to do these things slowly, mindfully, and, you know, that way we're addressing so many issues with the precious amount of time we have. Because if it's an hour, you know, you can't parcel up an hour into tone, and then tuning, and air support, and rhythm, and articulation, and, you know, like a scale, you should be articulating it different ways, I mean, etc. So efficient, focused, mindful practice. So I guess the last thing I want to talk about here is the question everyone has, like, how much should I practice? How long should I practice? The amount of time. And so, you know, this is super personal. It depends on your goals, right? If you're, I mean, we've established you have to practice every day. But, you know, if you just enjoy playing the saxophone and it's your hobby and, you know, you don't have much time, it's just a way of letting loose, then, I don't know, half an hour a day to an hour a day. You know, if you have goals of being able to play with like backing tracks so you can go out and busk or play in the local old folks home or something, then maybe you need like 2 hours a day to get that, because we have to take care of all the fundamental things and we have to maintain the fundamental things, and then we're adding all the rest on top of it. So there's a certain amount of maintenance that has to be done, and then all the other stuff is what we're building. So it takes time. If you want to be a serious music student, maybe go to university or college and study, then probably, you know, you need maybe 3 hours a day. If this is something you plan on doing professionally for a living, then, you know, you probably need like 6 hours a day or more, right? Because there's all the fundamental things to take care of, and then all the other stuff. It takes time, you know. I have a friend who his entire life was super involved in the music industry. He was producing all these famous players and doing all this kind of stuff, organizing tours, and I was at his place once. He hired me and a buddy to go and play. And he was talking about how, hey, did you know, Oracle, that so-and-so used to practice like 6 hours a day? And me and my buddy are like, yeah, of course, that's what we do. Right? And he was kind of astonished by that. But it's like, that's what it is. If you're going to do it for a living, then yeah, you're looking at 6 hours plus a day of practice. It's just how it is. But, you know, again, it's what your goals are. But remember, I mean, the fundamentals don't ever go away. Like, just because you know how to play your C major scale doesn't mean you can stop practicing it now. Like, you're going to be playing sound exercises, and you're going to be playing technical exercises, basic stuff, overtones, scales, arpeggios, all the time. So you need to allot time for that, and then everything else. Like, you know, another thing, I was on tour once, and I was in the hotel flipping through the channels, and I came across like a community access channel where they were showing this clinic that Michael Brecker had done. I think it was sometime in the 80s. But, you know, he was asked about his practice, and he was saying, you know, how difficult for him it was to put new things into the way he played, or bring new things into his playing, because for him, I guess like for anyone else, it takes so long for them to be in there and come through, and you're playing when you're improvising, right? Because he was saying, like, look, you know, you go on tour, you get on the airplane in the morning, you go to where you be, then you're shuffled off to either the hotel or the venue, you sound check, you have to find time to eat in between and everything. So it's like, you're lucky if you get an hour a day. And so when he had an hour a day, he devoted it to maintenance. And that is fundamentals, right? Sound, articulation, scales, and things like that. And so any time on top of that is what you would spend, you know? We're talking Michael Brecker. An hour a day, if that's all he had, it was on the basic, fundamental, maintaining what he already had, right? And then we're not adding on it yet. So, I mean, it was a real eye-opener for me to see that clinic. And then it comes down to priorities too, right? Like, let's say you only have 3 hours a day to practice. Well, what are your priorities in that 3 hours? It's really worth thinking about, because, like, you know, is sound your priority? Then you might have to spend the bulk of your time on sound. Like, I don't know her myself, but one of my dear friends takes lessons with the great Melissa Aldana, and he was telling me that she, on a daily basis, every day, a minimum of an hour of long tones, right? And everyone hates doing long tones, but she does bare minimum 1 hour every day of long tones. And you know what? Duh, have you heard her tone? It's incredible, right? She has an incredible saxophone sound. So of course, so her priority, that's a major priority, an hour a day doing long tones, right? Or someone else like that, George Garzone, right? If you ever have the chance to hear this player live, it's quite possibly the best saxophone sound I've ever heard on the planet, right? First of all, it's lush and complex, and it's enormous, right? He's playing like a number 11 or 12 mouthpiece with the hardest reed you can buy and everything, and so yeah, part of it is like he does an immense amount of long tones because you have to build up that stamina and keep it, and you know, so clearly that's a priority for him as well. And if your priority is playing odd meters, then you're going to devote more time to that. So that's all I can say. But in terms of time, the big thing is, like, again, it comes back to focus. Because playing 1 hour of focus practice is not the same thing as playing saxophone for 5 hours a day. Playing the saxophone 5 hours a day isn't practice. Yes, there's benefit to playing your saxophone 5 hours a day. Great, but if you're just playing the saxophone and fooling around for 5 hours a day, and someone else is actually focused practicing for an hour a day, that 1 hour a day is going to get so much further than the 5, right? So let's not, I guess that's let's not confuse practice with just playing the instrument. Well, that's it. I am the Saxophone Oracle. I wanted to talk a bit about practice because the new year is coming up. I do want to take a moment to thank all of you. It's been about 8 months. I haven't really promoted the channel, and I'm really starting to see it grow, and I'm really happy. So I want to thank you for all of that. Please continue to share, like, subscribe. That really helps me out. If you have comments, drop them below. Questions, send me an email. I'd love to address them in future videos. Thank you for your continued support and for watching. I wish you and all your loved ones all the best in the new year. May you achieve all your goals. And I look forward to a year more of bringing you great content. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All the best. Happy New Year to everyone. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye for now.